Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of She Says with Serena. I'm still your lovely host, Serena. That hasn't changed. Um, I want to welcome you guys to a live special episode. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about the Kingdom of Zion. We're going to talk about the church we each have inside of us. Um, that church is our own moral compass. It's the rules that we give ourselves. It's the expectations that we have for ourselves. It doesn't care what you practice, it just cares that you do. So let's take a little journey and talk about uh, how the kingdom of Zion came to be. Like, how did that even enter to my brain? Last year, we all went something collectively together as a nation when Mr. George Floyd died, when he was murdered in front of our eyes. Um, I think that changed a lot of us. It changed who we are as people. We all cried for him. We all cried for his mom. That was a trauma that I never wanted to have to experience, and it's definitely not one that I want to have to see again. But what Mr. Floyd did was he brought part of a nation together, and he sent us on a quest. Boy, did he ever! He sent us on a quest into history and into learning what systemic racism is. And he sent us on a quest of learning Black history and learning about the massacres. And, I went so far as to, my husband dug into the Library of Congress and found some slave testimonials that were there that I was able to read. And I had so many questions. I had so many questions about how we as a people, a human race, how we could possibly have gotten there. And so I kept looking and I kept looking and going further into history. And it led me to faraway places. I read about Egyptians. I read about the Roman Empire. I read about my high school dropout folks, so these are things that I had never read about before, and it was very, very intriguing and very exciting to me. Uh, it led me to the history of his story. It led me to the Bible, and I didn't stop there. I kept going. I kept going because there's parts of the Bible that are missing, so we had to seek those out and find those and read those and figure out why those got taken out and who wrote them and what they said. It's all been exciting. It's been very exciting. And I've learned a lot about a lot of different religions. That Jesus is not only mentioned in Christianity, he is mentioned in other religions as well. I've learned a lot about my friends and their beliefs. Uh, I've heard a lot about the way a lot of my friends have been treated by Christians, by people who call themselves Christians. Um, I want to talk a little bit about how I myself have been treated by Christians, people who proclaim to be Christians, who are members of churches, who belong to churches. Um, the church isn't exactly a kind place to be when you don't fit in with the cliques, and there are just as many cliques in the church as there are in high school. I was recently thinking about writing a book based on the idea of Sinners Anonymous. And so I Googled that to see what others thought about the idea of it and whether or not it had already been done. And I found that it actually had. There is a group. in Florida that, they belong to a church, and they're a group of young people, in their 20s, and, um sorry, I lost my train of thought. And they meet and they have a podcast that they share, and I listen to several of their podcasts, and one of the young ladies, was asked a question about gays and whether or not gays should be welcomed in the church, and she said, "Yes, as long as they turn away from their life of sin." And that kinda got me because I was like, "Okay, so, I mean, there's a group of y'all sitting at the table. I'm going to assume that the group of y'all don't sin? Like, y'all don't sin?" Mm, first of all, the problem here is seeing gayness as a sin, okay? Um, I encourage you guys to read the New Testament. The New Testament. The New Testament. I know what's written in the Old Testament. I know what Moses had to say. I know what the laws are. And I also know that Jesus brought the mercy and Jesus brought the truth. And what did Jesus say? That's what I'm interested in. And I think that that's what some of you should be interested in too, because the way that you're judging isn't exactly the way that Jesus said to do things. And it really, really, really comes off to many of us not as righteous judgment, but as very self righteous judgment. If a group of people are all saying, as a gay person, you're not welcome in our church unless you turn away from being gay, I'm going to assume that every single one of them is perfect. Perfect. Because a sin is a sin is a sin is a sin. And I get there's little white lies and there's abomination sins, and I don't think that that's how God measures the sins, but okay. The fact of the matter is that things done in love, that doesn't make sense for them to be sins, now does it? And when you're casting judgment on other people so self-righteously, you just proved to us all that your judgment is the undiagnosed mental illness of the self-righteous Christian. That's what your judgment is. So stop judging the rest of us. We'll answer to God for our own things. Uh, everyone should feel welcome in church. Don't you guys want to feel welcome in church? And that's what this is all about. Um, this this is my son who passed away many years ago. That's a cute little church, and my cross represents Jesus to me because I don't believe in white Jesus. White Jesus is a figmentation of your imagination. If you think Jesus is white, this is probably not going to be the channel for you, okay? Excuse me. So when I delved into the research and looking for the answers to my questions, I kept reading things in the Bible that were opposite of what I had been taught when I went to church or what I had been taught by others who were members of the church, whether they be the folks that like to knock on my door every now and again to let me know that I'm going to burn in hell, or, my stepdad really, really, really knows his Bible. Um, but he also thinks that I'm an abomination. So, but those things are okay. People are allowed to have their own beliefs. And as long as you know, like my stepdad, when he comes at me sideways with that stuff, I meet him with his own book. And at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me that he thinks the way that he does because he's gonna have to answer for that. I'm not gonna judge him for that. He's lived his own life, and he thinks the way he does for whatever reason he does. I'm not gonna try and change the way that somebody else thinks, but I really feel like I've been called to look to the Bible for the answers that I seek and to interpret the Bible for myself and to not go to church and have it mansplained to me. Um, and I think that I've been called to share what I learn and share what I interpret because I have found that a lot of what I think and my views on things are different from most Christians. And I I found that uh, the evangelical Christians are likely to never be my friend, and that's okay because I'm walking to the beat of my own drummer, and I'm not sure what it is that like I get very confused when Christians are so judgmental against things. I mean, God gave us all free will, and the free will that we have isn't supposed to be beat out of us by Christians forcing us to live in the way that they find to be good and moral because we own have our own moral compass. We all have our own church within us of the things that mean something to like what is it that draws you to the idea of heaven? Because I know what draws me to the idea of heaven. I have people waiting there for me. And so I have reason. Um, I think that people need to have reason. People need to have hope. Uh, and here's the thing for you atheist friends of mine, God bless y'all because y'all are some of the sweetest people that I know. And I'm not judging none of y'all. Y'all don't have to believe any of this stuff because could be wrong, right? And but if I am, that's okay as long as I'm spending my life doing something that's good and positive and I'm not being a jerk, right? like uh because that's kind of my atheist friends. Um that's kind of what they are. They're good, positive people who like to do things to make people smile and laugh. And uh, I think that that's what true Christians are like too. I think that true Christians are often quiet Christians. So I have a lot of friends on my page that are very Christian and believers in Christ and followers of Christ, but they're very quiet about that part of themselves. And that's a part of myself that I want to share. I want to share it with you, and I want you guys to start sharing that part of yourselves with me. I want to know about your relationship with Christ. I want to know if you're Muslim, like I want to know about Muhammad. Come teach me. If you're Hindu, if you're Buddhist, whatever you are, teach me. Tell me what to read. Tell me, who to follow and stuff like that, because all of these things are so interesting to me. And the more we learn, the more we open ourselves up to, the more coping skills we have. All of these things for me are coping skills to get me through life in a positive way and to keep myself in balance. Um, I don't want anybody to feel like they're not welcome here. If you're a Christian who belongs to a church and maybe you feel out of sorts at church, you feel judged yourself at church, you know, this is, look, I'm going to love everybody. I'm going to love everybody the same. If you bring harshness here, I'm still going to love you too because so does Jesus. Like it's just going to be what it's going to be. Um, but when you judge, I really want you guys to consider righteous judgment and uh, putting yourselves in other people's shoes and knowing that you may not be right and you might need to rethink how you're living. And it's okay to do that from time to time. All of us have to do that. We all have to sit back and reflect and think, you know, when I laughed, when he told that joke and I laughed, was I being racist because I laughed? Did I laugh because the joke was funny? Or did I laugh because I was really freaking uncomfortable and I don't know what to do when certain people behave that way? So that's just what I do. Kinda like when I laugh when people cry. It's just one of those things that I do because I'm super uncomfortable with it. Um, but I really had to question myself about a lot of things, and I think that's important for all of us, and especially as Christians, because as times change, uh, we as people evolve, and the way we perceive things needs to evolve with that. And if you want the church to still bring in the same amount of people and the same quality of people, then you need to start welcoming the sinners because that's where it's at. Those are the people that Jesus loved. Those are the people that Jesus wanted us to spread his gospel to. And guys, I've probably said a whole lot without saying too much at all. I just really wanted to come on here and share the Kingdom of Zion with you. And I'm going to talk about Kingdom of Zion a lot throughout my life. I've been talking about it for the last year, and it's just the church inside of me. And from time to time, I would love to be able to come here and share that piece of myself with you guys. And I hope that you feel comfortable sharing that piece of yourself with me. Okay. And remember that no matter what anybody tells you, you are worthy. You are worthy of Jesus's love, his forgiveness, his mercy. You are worthy. You guys, this has been another She Says with Serena. Stay safe, like, share, do all those things, and peace.